Welcome back to the channel, Dodd. Did you know in the United States, in 1928, a toymaker in Massachusetts was arrested after dozens of porcelain dolls were found in his home, each eerily modeled after missing local children? His name was Joseph Grimaldi, and if you grew up in Western Massachusetts, the name alone was enough to make children behave. Parents used to say, "Don't go near the toy shop after dark, or Grimaldi will see you and he'll make a doll just like you." But the truth is, by the time those warnings became folklore, the real Grimaldi was long gone, dead, buried, and never convicted in a court of law. The story begins in Ashcroft Hollow, a cold, gray town nestled between hills and forest. A kind of town where people age quickly, windows stayed shuttered, and winter never truly left. In the early 20th century, it was a modest farming settlement. Hardworking people, quiet lives. That's why when Joseph Grimaldi arrived in 1919, he didn't raise suspicion. Just another man seeking peace after the war. Or so it seemed. He bought a modest home near the edge of town. It had a barn he converted into a workshop and a storefront he called Grimaldi's Curiosities. His first few months, he rarely spoke. People called him odd but polite. His eyes were soft, tired. He looked like a man who had lived too long with silence. Then came the dolls. They appeared in the window one October morning, 3 of them, seated together like siblings, at tea. Their faces were pale and perfectly shaped. Their eyes gleamed with moisture. Their tiny hands were positioned mid-gesture, as if caught in conversation. People were astonished. How real they looked, they said. Some claimed they blinked out Grimaldi. Never advertised. He never left town. The word spread. People came from neighboring cities to see them. The local paper ran a feature titled, "The Man Who Makes Children of Clay." But the joy wouldn't last. In 1922, a 7-year-old named Helen Caraway vanished walking home from school. A week later, Grimaldi's window display changed. There sat a new doll, its face delicate, its dress identical to the one Helen was last seen wearing. It had a small blue ribbon in its hair, like hers. Someone noticed, then another. Soon the whispers began, but there was no evidence. Police searched Grimaldi's home. They found no basement, no blood, no bones. Just dolls. They left empty-handed. Over the next 5 years, more children disappeared quietly, one at a time. Always in early autumn, always near dusk. Each time, a new doll appeared within days. Different face, different dress, but always uncannily familiar. When asked where his inspiration came from, Grimaldi would smile faintly and say, "I don't sculpt them. They show me how they want to look." Some believed he was speaking metaphorically, others knew better. But who is Joseph Grimaldi, really? He was born in 1857 in Venice, Italy, the son of a dollmaker and an opera seamstress. As a boy, he watched his father carve figures from clay and bone. "The key is in the eyes," his father would whisper. "Once the eyes are true, the soul comes home." After a fire destroyed their shop, the family moved to France, then England, where Grimaldi studied fine arts and anatomy. Eventually, he immigrated to the US alone. By then, his family was gone cholera, war, madness. No records followed him, but some believe he brought with him more than skill. There are rumors of a book, a collection of pages bound in human skin, said to contain rituals from forgotten European cults, rituals that taught how to preserve the voice of the child within the stillness of porcelain. A diary found in a Boston boarding house after Grimaldi's arrest contained disturbing sketches, a girl's face split open, revealing porcelain beneath, notes scrawled in Latin, phrases like, "The vessel must reflect the breath," and "They cannot leave unless named." Police dismissed it as fiction. but the images were identical to the dolls found in Ashcroft. Hollow. Grimaldi was finally arrested after the disappearance of Clara Whitmore, age 9. Her mother said she'd gone to see the ballerina in the Red Window. She never returned. The doll that appeared days later looked exactly like Clara down to the missing front tooth and the faded bruise on her knee. When authorities searched the house, they found what the press would later call the nursery of the damned. Inside were 87 dolls. Each had a name inscribed in tiny script on a label beneath its dress. Many matched the names of missing children from across 3 states. Some dolls were warm to the touch. One began weeping when picked up. Another was heard whispering a faint, almost inaudible hum that stopped the moment light touched it. Inside the workshop, investigators found something else. A mirror, floor length, antique. It had carvings around its frame names again. Dozens of them, including Helen, Clara, Beatrice, Samuel, Mina. When one officer approached it, he reportedly gasped and dropped his flashlight. He swore he saw his own face blinking at him. A second before he blinked up, the mirror was seized. It disappeared from police evidence. Weeks later, Grimaldi was placed in custody, but no trial ever occurred. He refused to speak in court. His public defender claimed Grimaldi spoke only to the dolls, whispering to them at night, brushing their hair, tucking them in. Then, on the night of a storm, October 30th, 1928, Grimaldi was found dead in his cell. He'd gouged his own eyes out with a spoon. On the walls were scratches, hundreds of tiny marks forming what looked like fingers pressed into porcelain. On the ceiling, a message scratched with blood. I only made the shells. They filled themselves. After his death, the dolls were locked away, some destroyed, some donated to research institutions. But strange things began happening. In 1934, a university archive caught fire. The only item untouched was one of Grimaldi's dolls, stored in a lead-lined box. Its label read, Miriam, age 8, a guard claimed. He heard her singing nursery rhymes before the flames erupted. In 1941, a doll appeared in a Boston orphanage left on the steps with a tag, for whoever has no mother. A boy took it. Within days, he was found unconscious, muttering words in Italian. He had never spoken the language before. In 1965, a museum curator in Albany held a private exhibit of antique dolls. When a woman recognized one as her sister who vanished in 1923, she screamed. Security dismissed it until the power failed, and cameras caught footage of the doll's eyes moving. The footage was erased the next day. What happened to the remaining dolls is unknown. Some say they still turn up at estate sales, antique auctions, flea markets. The dolls never decay, they never fade, and those who own them begin to change. A woman in Maine claimed her daughter grew pale and cold after receiving one. The girl refused to speak and stared into mirrors for hours. When asked what she was doing, she said, I'm learning how to stay still. In Ohio, a man who bought one for his collection died in his sleep. His wife found a second doll beside it the next day, one that looked just like him. Others claim the dolls communicate. They hum. They sing, they whisper secrets, and when no one's looking, they move. Grimaldi's house still stands. It's abandoned, boarded up, and rotting, but somehow untouched by time. Vandals claim strange things happen when they approach. One man reported hearing laughter inside, followed by a child's voice whispering his name, though he hadn't told anyone he was going. Those who enter say the air feels thick, like breath held too long, that the workshop shelves aren't empty, that the dolls still sit there, waiting. Not for new owners, for new names. If you ever find a porcelain doll with eyes too lifelike, if its face seems oddly familiar, if it shows up without explanation in your home, don't keep it. Don't hold it. And whatever you do, don't name it, because once you give it a name, It remembers yours.